Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Tomorrow? Wow. The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, at long last, releases. Tomorrow, a long and sometimes painful journey comes to an end. And a much longer and much more enjoyable journey begins. I can't believe I'm really saying this, but we're one day away from Tears of the Kingdom. One day away from this game that I have been so excited about. And in my excitement, I've been a bit caught up in the journey and haven't really stopped to think about the endpoint. Tomorrow, I shall play Tears of the Kingdom, and it may sound weird, but that's just hard to believe, that we've come to the end of this 4-year-long journey. And throughout this journey, there has been a lot of anticipation and excitement, especially on my part. I have been so excited about this game, and I have been really thankful and really happy to share my excitement through, of course, videos here and also my 100-day countdown with 100 reasons to be excited about Tears of the Kingdom that I shared each day in the last 100 days, which working on that has been such a constant task, but today it's finished. Today, the countdown is finished. All there is left is to wait through this final day. And so this is the quiet before the storm. A moment of silence, briefly. And that's very strange for me, because especially since the title reveal, I have been non-stop excitement, non-stop preparation for this game. Because this is my first new Zelda game as a Zelda fan, and that's pretty exciting because it's an experience I've never had before. And so, needless to say, I've been very excited about it. And in my excitement, I've not often stopped to consider something quite different from all the positive excitement that I've expressed. I have very rarely, perhaps not at all, stopped to think about the negatives. I loved Breath of the Wild, and I have always known that I will most likely love Tears of the Kingdom, or the sequel to The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, as we knew it for several years. But I did have problems with Breath of the Wild, and I probably will have problems with Tears of the Kingdom, as much as I love both of these games. Of course, those problems will not fully emerge until Tears of the Kingdom is released and I play it. Right now, instead of concrete problems, there are fears. Only a few fears, but fears nonetheless, lingering in the back of my mind. And I have not expressed those. I've not clearly stated those. I've been stating so many positives, so much excitement, that I haven't really stated anything negative. So, in this calm before the storm, quiet before the chaos, right before Tears of the Kingdom releases, I'm going to express some negatives. Just a few, because I'm overwhelmingly positive about this game, but a few nonetheless. So I'll get my biggest fear out of the way first. What is my biggest fear about Tears of the Kingdom? My biggest fear about The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, is that it will make it hard to go back to its predecessor, Breath of the Wild. I am so afraid that Tears of the Kingdom will make Breath of the Wild obsolete, because I love Breath of the Wild so much. And this fear may just be realized, because Tears of the Kingdom is building off Breath of the Wild in interesting new ways, and also changing up the controls and the UI in more intuitive ways, which will probably make it hard to go back to Breath of the Wild. Which is unfortunate that Tears of the Kingdom will most likely overshadow Breath of the Wild, and make Breath of the Wild seem like something of just a tech demo. But I still hope that years from now I can return to Breath of the Wild and still enjoy it even after playing Tears of the Kingdom. Breath of the Wild pales in comparison to Tears of the Kingdom and the amount of freedom it gives the player. And I'm scared of that freedom. That freedom might make Breath of the Wild seem restricting, as open as it is and was. But that's a fear for the future. I'm sure that I'll be able to return to Breath of the Wild. But it might not be as enjoyable as it once was, having played Tears of the Kingdom. And so that's why I've been playing a lot of it before Tears of the Kingdom releases. My second fear is that Tears of the Kingdom will not be as magical as Breath of the Wild. And I'm pretty sure that this fear, I do have fears for Tears of the Kingdom. And yeah, this fear is that Tears of the Kingdom will not be as special and magical as Breath of the Wild, simply because it came second. Simply because Breath of the Wild was the first open world Zelda. The first time we were in this version of Hyrule. The first time we had that sense of wonder and awe of discovering new things. And there will be new things to discover in Tears of the Kingdom. But it'll be more about the discoveries and less about exploring to find those discoveries, because it's the same world. It has changes. And yes, we'll be exploring in the Sky Islands and underground, finding ways to access these new areas. But in the same world, we know the general layout of things, and it'll be cool to see how it's changed, but there won't be that same sense of wonder. Even if it was a completely new world, built from the ground up, which would have taken a substantial amount of time, even if it was a new world, it still wouldn't be as magical, simply because, again, Breath of the Wild came first, and it was this first time we had this sense of overwhelming awe. And that's hard to experience a second time. That's hard to replicate in the exact same way. And so, this is another fear that I think will probably occur after Tears of the Kingdom releases, that it won't be as magical as Breath of the Wild. It will certainly be more free and perhaps more interesting than Breath of the Wild, but never quite as magical. And for my third and final fear, I'm worried that Tears of the Kingdom will be too easy. Now, I'm not a pro. I am not a Breath of the Wild master, nor a master of games in general. I've had very many moments where I just need to get good. But I've been playing Breath of the Wild in Master Mode, and I've gotten the hang of things in Master Mode, and can defeat those gold enemies. And as we know, Master Mode is hard mode for Breath of the Wild. It's rather difficult, and so I'm worried that going into Tears of the Kingdom, it'll be too easy. I'll still have to get used to all the new systems and abilities, but I'm worried that combat will just feel easy compared to taking down gold enemies in Master Mode. And that'll be fine. I have an advantage in combat now that I've played Master Mode, and I'll use that advantage perhaps to get back to exploring the world and take down enemies quickly. But of course, with fused weapons, combat changes on so many levels, and I'll still have to get used to that. But the basic combat system, after all these years, I've gotten down. I can't do crazy, absurd maneuvers, but I can take down enemies the old-fashioned way, just whacking them and freezing them with stasis and shooting arrows at them, and, sometimes doing a few crazy maneuvers, but most of the time just taking them down bit by bit, but taking them down nonetheless. And so those were 3 fears I have about Tears of the Kingdom. Fears about Tears. I'm worried that it'll make it hard to go back to Breath of the Wild, that it won't be as magical as Breath of the Wild, and that it will be easier than Breath of the Wild on Master Mode. So yeah, all my fears about Tears of the Kingdom do relate to Breath of the Wild, as many other people's fears have, because this is the sequel to Breath of the Wild, the first sequel we received to a 3D Zelda game since Majora's Mask, the second Zelda game. So this is a new experience for so many Zelda fans, myself included. And now that I've expressed some negatives about this new and exciting experience, I'm ready to get back into excitement. It is one day until Tears of the Kingdom, and I am so excited. But I'm also thankful that I've gotten to express some negatives, some fears, because no game is perfect, and Tears of the Kingdom is not going to be an exception to that rule. I'm certain that it will be a masterpiece in game design and player freedom. It is going to be so, so good. But it's still going to have flaws. Every game has flaws. But I'm sure that the flaws of Tears of the Kingdom will be few compared to the exciting and interesting new systems that encourage customization and imagination and so much, again, player freedom. I'm so excited to experience all of that I've just been ranting about for the past months and years. I'm so excited to experience it all tomorrow, and I'll be ranting about it for probably months and years to come. Thank you so much for listening to this reflective rant of mine one day before Tears of the Kingdom comes out. Or if you're listening to it after Tears of the Kingdom comes out, I guess that's fine too. Thank you so much for listening. Next time I record a video, it'll be after Tears of the Kingdom releases. That's crazy. We're so close. Again, thank you so much for listening. I'm FawfulDX of Kiro Tarakai, and I'll see you on the other side.